Welcome to section 12. In this section, we will do a comparison between COBIT 5 information model and COBIT 4.1 information criteria. And this is taken from Appendix F of the main COBIT 5 guide. We will put more emphasis on the COBIT 5 information here as compared to COBIT 4.1. However, just to get started, COBIT 4.1 has 7 information criteria. Those are namely effectiveness, efficiency, integrity, reliability, availability, confidentiality, and compliance. And we're going to understand what those mean very briefly, but more emphasis on the COBIT 5 equivalents of that, or of those criteria from 4.1. The COBIT 5, you might recollect from the discussion on enablers that we had earlier in another section briefly, that every COBIT 5 enabler, such as processes or information and others, they have 4 different areas or concepts to deal with. It's about the stakeholders of an enabler, the goals of an enabler, then the life cycle of an enabler, and the practices of an enabler. And these information criteria are connected with the goals of the enabler. In COBIT 5 in particular, you might recollect there are 3 types of goals. One, the intrinsic quality, and then we have the contextual and representation quality, and then we have the security or accessibility quality. Therefore, the COBIT 4.1 information criteria is built further and to include those quality goals of COBIT 5. And in this case, for the information enablers or enabler. Therefore, the COBIT 5 information model allows definition of an additional set of criteria, adding value to the COBIT 4.1 criteria. Now, let's get going with these 7 different criteria. The first one is effectiveness. Effectiveness in COBIT 4.1 is about the ability to achieve objectives and deliver value to the organization. So it deals with ensuring that the IT systems and services are aligned with the organization's overall goals and objectives, and that they are being used to support and improve the organization's performance. Effectiveness is a critical aspect of IT governance because it allows to get the most value from the IT investments of the organization, and it ensures that. And therefore, organizations will implement robust processes for evaluating and measuring the performance of their IT systems and services, such as setting metrics for performance, monitoring and reporting on the performance, and implementing corrective actions where needed. In COBIT 5, information is effective if it meets the needs of the information consumer who uses the information for a specific task. For the exam, you mainly have to know the COBIT 5 equivalent meanings here, without having to know about the COBIT 4.1 explanations that I just spoke about for the effectiveness criteria. So in the COBIT 5 further, if the information consumer can perform the task with the information, then the information is effective. And in COBIT 5, it corresponds to the following information quality goals, namely the appropriate amount, relevance, understandability, interpretability, and objectivity. And these will come under one of the 3 goals of the information enabler, namely contextual and representation quality, or intrinsic quality, or security accessibility quality. Now, most of these that we see here for the effectiveness COBIT 5 equivalent are coming under the contextual and representation quality. Things like appropriate amount, relevance, then whereas the other ones, and also the understandability and interpretability, those come under the contextual and representation quality goals. Then we move on to efficiency, and this term is valid in both COBIT 4.1 and 5. In 4.1, efficiency refers to the optimal use of resources to deliver IT services and infrastructure. So it deals with ensuring that the organization's IT systems and services are delivered in the most cost-effective and productive way. And again, this is a key aspect of IT service management because it ensures that organization is getting the most value from its IT investments. And to do this, or to ensure this, organization implement robust processes for managing and optimizing the use of resources, meaning, for example, they can identify and eliminate inefficiencies, reduce costs, improve the performance of IT systems and services, and they will also consider the ROI, or the return on investment, perform cost-benefit analysis during the decision-making and resource allocations so that the IT processes and systems are delivering value for the organization. Now, in COBIT 5, efficiency, let's see what that is. It relates more to the process of obtaining and using information. So it aligns with the information as a service view. Whereas effectiveness considers information as a product, whether it meets the needs of the consumer who is using it for some tasks. So if the information that meets the needs of the information consumer is obtained and used in an easy way, meaning it takes less resources, less physical effort, cognitive effort, time, money, that is, then the use of information is efficient. And this corresponds to the following information quality goals in COBIT 5, namely believability, accessibility, ease of operation, and reputation. Now, many of these, such as believability, reputation, these are coming under the intrinsic quality goal. And the accessibility is a separate quality goal, which is the security or accessibility quality. Then we have integrity. So again, it has its own meaning in COBIT 4.1. It refers to the protection of information from unauthorized modification or destruction. Therefore, it deals with ensuring that the information stored, processed, and transmitted by IT systems and services is accurate, complete, and consistent. So this is a crucial aspect of IT security because it helps to ensure that the information used by the organization is reliable and trustworthy. And for this, organizations, we need to implement robust controls and processes to protect the information from unauthorized modification or destruction. So they might do, for example, data validation, data quality checks, access controls, data encryption, and other security measures so that the information is protected from unauthorized changes or deletions. And it also includes considering the legal aspects, the legal requirements, regulatory and contractual requirements to ensure that the information is kept in integrity according to the laws and regulations. Now, in COBIT 5, we see that if information has integrity, then it is free of error and complete. And in COBIT 5, we have the following information quality goals, which are applicable to this, and that is completeness and accuracy. So accuracy is an intrinsic quality, and completeness is a contextual and representation quality. Now, we don't have to, at the moment, be concerned about the goals I'm talking in the information enabler. We have the information enabler coming up in more detail in another section. And there, from an exam perspective, you will have to understand each of the other terms that I've been talking about. For example, the COBIT 5 quality goals. What is completeness? What is accuracy? What is relevance? And so on that we have been seeing in this table so far. And that's the reason I did not explain them, because it could become an information overload for you to comprehend as a start here. But yes, those are going to be important for the exam. The meanings of relevance, appropriate amount, all those quality goals for information that you have noticed so far in COBIT 5. Then we have reliability. Reliability is there in COBIT 4.1, and it's the ability of IT systems and services to function as intended and to produce accurate results. And reliability is about the availability of IT systems and services to meet the needs of the business process and to ensure that the information provided is accurate, consistent, and trustworthy. Again, it's a crucial aspect of IT service management because it helps to ensure that the organization can depend on the IT systems and services to support the operations and decision making. And to do this reliability, the organization will need to implement robust systems and processes to ensure that the IT services and infrastructure are continuously monitored and maintained. So, for example, they could have appropriate disaster recovery and business continuity plans and execute them to minimize the impact of IT failures when they occur. In COBIT 5, reliability is seems to be a synonym of accuracy, but it is like this: information is reliable if it is regarded as true and credible. So that's how we need to look at reliability in COBIT 5. And compared to integrity, reliability is more subjective, more related to perception, and not just factual. It corresponds to the following information goals. It's about believability, reputation, and objectivity. So these are the intrinsic quality goals in COBIT 5 for the information enabler. Then we have another one, information criteria in COBIT 4.1, which is the availability. This is the ability of IT systems and services to be accessible and operational when needed by the business process. It deals with ensuring that the organization's IT systems and services are available to support the needs of the business process, minimize the impact of IT failures, and ensure continuity of operations. So there's a slight difference between reliability and availability here. So, and availability again is a critical aspect of IT service management because it helps to ensure that the organization can depend on its IT systems and services to support its operations and decision making. And therefore, organization will implement robust systems and processes to ensure that the IT services and infrastructure are continuously monitored and maintained. And to do this, they will have those similar or the same disaster recovery and business continuity plans to minimize the impact of IT failures, monitoring and reporting, like we noted in the reliability criteria as well. In this case, it will be on the availability of the systems and services and implementing corrective action. So it's exactly the same kind of measure that we noted in reliability. And but here there's something additional. They will consider the service level agreements and the business continuity plan to ensure that the IT systems and services are meeting the availability requirements of the business processes. Then we have the confidentiality in COBIT 4.1. It deals with ensuring that only authorized individuals have access to sensitive information and that the information is protected from unauthorized access, use, disclosure, disruption, modification, or destruction. So confidentiality is a critical aspect of IT security and essential for maintaining the trust and confidence of customers, partners, and stakeholders. And to ensure this, organizations will implement robust security controls and processes to protect sensitive information. For example, implement access controls, data encryption, data masking, firewalls, intrusion detection systems, and other security measures to protect information from unauthorized access and disclosure. And they will also consider legal, regulatory, and contractual requirements to ensure that the information is kept confidential according to the laws and regulations. Now here in COBIT 5 equivalent, we have confidentiality corresponds to the restricted access information quality goal. And this is coming under the security or accessibility quality, where we have the availability or timeliness goal and the restricted access goal. Compliance in 4.1 is about adhering to relevant laws, regulations, and standards. And it ensures that the organization's IT processes and systems are in line with the legal and regulatory requirements that apply to the organization and the industry it operates in. It also includes internal policies and procedures as well as industry standards and best practices. Therefore, it will include the process of monitoring and reporting compliance to the relevant authorities and stakeholders. And it's an important aspect of IT governance because it helps to mitigate risks and protect the organization from legal and reputational damage. In COBIT 5, compliance in the sense that information must conform to specifications is covered by any of the information quality goals depending on the requirements. Compliance to regulations is most often a goal or requirement of the use of the information, not so much an inherent quality of information. So those were the conclusions in the comparison between the 4.1 and COBIT 5 equivalent. For the exam, it's required to put more emphasis on the COBIT 5 explanations here, rather than trying to understand what are the meanings in COBIT 4.1. But you must know the 7 information criteria of 4.1.